So, the curse of the Penguins continues again. The Penguins are so cursed that even their call-ups are getting hurt in their first NHL games. Their call-ups. Players are not going to want to come to Pittsburgh now for fear of getting injured. No, but on all seriousness, the Penguins' injuries are now starting to mount, and as a result, they're relying on their big guns a little bit too much, just as they had to do last year. The three centers tonight were all very strong to make up for the lack of winger depth, shall we say. And Jamira is going to have to make a trade sooner rather than later, because you can't just keep relying on Crosby and Malkin to provide you goals all year long, okay? Their backs are tired, man. They need a break. So yes, the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New Jersey Devils, or shall I say the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins and the, what are they called, Albany Devils? I don't even know. Anyways, they played a game last night, and it was pretty uneventful. Not really the most exciting game. I thought both goalies played very well, but it was quite sloppy. Pittsburgh missed a lot of chances. That's bound to happen, though, due to the lack of chemistry, and Crosby was also not feeling that well, and you could tell his timing was a little off. But they won 1-0 on a great play from Como, Magna, and Malkin. Yes, so the Penguins win 1-0 on a beautiful passing play. Magna to Como to Gino. Boom! In the net. That's all she wrote. 1-0. The Penguins now still stay tied with the New York Islanders atop the Metro Division and are one of the top teams in the league in terms of points right now. However, that is very misleading because literally all their offenses come from like 4 players or 5 players, 2 of which are hurt right now. So, yeah, a little fun fact, the Penguins are the only team in the league that have 3 players with 25 points or over. Crosby with 33, tied for first in the league, Malkin with 30, that's 4th in the league, and Patrick Hornfist with 25. And Chris Letang is their other guy who produced all their offense, and now he's hurt for 2 weeks with a groin injury. So literally, all their offenses come from 3 players. Hashtag depth. Not really. Anyways. So, yes, I'm sorry this video is so late. This is a continuation of the video. I'm finishing it. I'm in a new room. I've moved home to Toronto for Christmas break. And that's why I did not finish it yesterday as I was in the air. Back home now, their next game is tonight against Vancouver Canucks. Ehrhoff will play against his old team. I would expect him to have a big game. I would expect Crosby to have a big game as he is now pointless in 2 straight and in another slump. And Malkin will probably also step up, but it'll probably be led by the big boys again, hurting their backs as per usual. And now that Kunitz is going to be out 3 weeks with the hairline fracture, that also hurts their depth. They've already had Dupuis lost. Now Letang is out for 2 weeks with a groin injury, which is super unfortunate because he was having such an amazing season and he was playing so well, and I thought he'd really be a strong Norris Trophy candidate. He still could be, but they generally don't go with players who miss lots of times due to injury, many games due to injury, and he's already missed about 4. He'll probably miss about, I guess, 8 if he's out for 2 weeks, so it's not horrible, but it can also take him a while to get back up to speed. I really hope not, though, because he's huge for that team. That could be another reason why the power play has not been as good lately, because they don't have Letang, who's leading all defensemen at power play points, or tied for second, who's been a huge quarterback there. Kunitz has looked a little off, but they use him on the power play as well, and when they're replacing him with guys like Ehrhoff and Mata, it's not as good. And yeah, they also haven't had as many chances, but it hasn't looked as in sync. Anyways, so the Penguins will also be without Robert Bortuzzo tonight, who suspended 2 games for his hit on Jaromir Jagr. I actually think he should have gotten more. It was a pretty brutal hit. It was a clear hit to the head. He got his elbow up. He made no move toward him whatsoever, despite what he said. It was clearly intentional. He knew who was there, and he knew what he was doing. He got his elbow up, boom, hit him to the head after the puck was released, about 2 seconds. The puck was nowhere near, though. He claims he thought the puck was there, but it was already at the net. By that time, he's already in motion, moving his head. So it's a clear head shot. 2 is about what I expected, because that seems to be the standard for first-time offenders, but I would have given him at least 5, because I think the NHL needs to set a precedent for those hits to the head. I mean, yes, the hits are down, and there have been more suspensions as there has been more of an awareness, but again, it's the consistency. That's the biggest thing about this supplementary discipline system. It's such a joke. I'm not a fan of it at all because they're so inconsistent with their punishments. Some players got a fine, like Chris Crowder made a much worse hit, only got a fine. Some players got like 10 games, some games 3, like making consistent. Yes, if they have a history of supplementary discipline, it should be more, but why should it matter if the player is injured or not? Like that hit on Steve Downey that Dustin Byfuglien made. Because Steve Downey got up and Jaromir Jagr didn't, one was a penalty and a suspension, and one was not. Keep it consistent. You have to suspend the act and not the results. And until that happens, we're going to see running around. We're going to see hits to the head. We're going to see more concussions. It's going to be the same old thing. And then we're going to have people saying, oh, there should be fighting to stop all the hits to the head. No. If the league did a better job of policing it themselves, by giving harsher suspensions like they do in the AHL, the IIHF, a hit to the head is an automatic 10-minute misconduct. Automatic. Doesn't matter if it was intentional or not, which I think the NHL is going to have to do some sort of movement toward that. Make harsher penalties. Make 5 games a minimum. Then increase it by a game each time the player does more, depending on the severity of the hit, I guess, or the force of the hit. But 5 games, I think, is the minimum. And that could even be too light. Some people might want more. Like the hit on Crosby, that was a blindside hit to the head in 2011. That's one of the reasons why this is coming up in a bout, but we still see that hit happen in the game all the time, and it doesn't get suspended nearly as much as it should and near as long as it should. So anyways, I actually think that's good for the Penguins because Brian Dumoulin, I think he's actually better than Robert Bortuzzo. He's much better offensively. He's also a big guy, but he makes much smarter decisions, and he can skate better than Robert Bortuzzo. He's not just a physical specimen back there. He's much more of a top 4 defenseman, whereas Bortuzzo is a 6 defenseman. Like, that's the highest hope he can play is a 6. Brian Dumoulin had an amazing camp. He looked like a man against boys at the rookie camp, which he was essentially, and the only reason why he's not already in the NHL is because of a logjam on Pittsburgh's D. So he is definitely a trade candidate. Should the Penguins be trading for a winger, which they have to, because right now they have Nick Spaulding playing with Crosby, and that's not nearly good enough. But I'm excited to see what Dumoulin can do. I think he'll look really solid. I was really impressed with how he played last year in the NHL when he made his debut, so I'd look for that. I think he's going to have a real strong game. And it's going to be the battle of the backups tonight. Thomas Greiss versus Ryan Miller, which is not versus Eddie Lack, which is not really surprising, as Ryan Miller is just absolutely terrible against Penguins. And hashtag Sidney Crosby 2010 goal to goal. And Thomas Greiss also knows the West very well, as he played in the West previously in San Jose and Phoenix, which is not Arizona. So I'm satisfied with that decision. I think it's good, but I really do think that the Penguins are going to have to trade for some depth soon, because the injuries are mounting and their team is looking really thin. Crosby doesn't have a point in 2 games. I would expect him to bounce back tonight and get a point, but the Penguins are relying on him way too much, as they are with Malkin. And Hornqvist is just a byproduct of that. Blake Comeau's been a really nice pickup for them. I love Jason Magna on that line. I think he's a great short-term solution. I don't like him in the long term. I'd rather see him on the 4th line, someone like Zach Silnot, because he is terrible and garbage. But, I mean, besides Crosby and Malkin and Hornqvist, they don't have anyone up front. And on the back end, they had Letang. Now he's gone. Ehrhoff's starting to produce. Martin hasn't really produced this year, so they've had to rely on their goalies a lot more. They've played much more defensively. They're still scoring a lot, but it's literally 3 players. Like, their depth is horrendous. It's a big issue. It's a big issue last year. It's also a big issue this year. Marcel Gottsch will be back, which is nice, but he'll be playing with Adams and Sill, so that really sucks for him. And they're going to have to do something about this depth, because yes, they're winning. Yes, they're one of the top teams in the league, but it's literally 3 players. And if one of the big boys is out, they could quickly tumble. Like, it's going to be bad if any one of those players misses any significant length of time. They can't keep relying on Crosby, Malkin. It's going to tire them out. They're not going to produce in playoffs, and people are going to say, oh, they didn't produce in playoffs again. Well, maybe if they didn't have to carry the team on their back every year, every friggin' game, for the past 5 years or however long it's been, then they wouldn't tire out when it comes to playoffs. They could have more of a break if the scoring was more evenly divided. So Jimmy Rutherford's going to have to do something here. He's going to have to do some heaping around in Valley Village, bargain shopping, maybe a little Brad Boise here. He could be in the mix. He'd be a nice player. David Prawn would be really nice for Edmonton. A good top 6 forward. He's got to have to do something because whatever it is, it's not working. Anyways, that's all for this one. Please like if you like this video, subscribe if you really like it, tell with all your friends, share with everyone. I will see you after the game tonight when we meet the Vancouver Canucks. Let's go Penguins. I really hate the Canucks, so let's